Hey, what's going on? This is Dylan with DylanTalksTone, and today we are finally going to get around to making the video that I've been meaning to for a long time. And that is, we're going to talk about lace sensors. I actually had a viewer send me 2 old lace sensor takeout pickups that he had out in a guitar. So we didn't have to buy them to take them apart or ruin them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to uncover what's underneath here, and then we're going to talk about how they work in relation to a regular pickup. We have some regular tele pickups here that I actually made this morning, and I thought we could just use those for a comparison to the lace sensor stuff. Now, the technology, even though these are tele pickups, will be similar in the Strat. So first of all, let's go ahead and rip these things apart. These are basically epoxied together, so we're just gonna pretty much break them. Come on, there we go. Okay, so a couple things going on here. The coil's real small, okay? And it's got this cap on the top of it. Let me see if I can get this off. Let's pull the coil out. Let's take this apart one piece at a time. Okay. So there's the coil. And you see it's got 2 wires on it, so that is that's the 2 hookup wires for the coil. And you've got this like bathroom magnet right here on the side, and then there is more magnet on the bottom. So this is actually like it's like a vinyl magnet. See, it's really soft, and there's like 3 pieces glued together. And then there is one on the side here. So this is actually glued. So there's a magnet glued here on the side. And then there is another magnet glued on the other side. And we're going to reconstruct this, hopefully, once we get it all taken apart. So basically, then you have this steel structure that sits all around the outside of the coil. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, so there's 3 wires here. The green one is a ground that goes to here. So the actual chassis of it is grounded. So this whole thing is grounded with the green wire. And then the orange and white wires are actually the wires that hold the coil together, or that are the coil. The bobbin is this weird 2-piece metal deal. Okay, so now let's go ahead and kind of reconstruct what we saw here. So there's 3 magnets that go in the bottom, like so. There's a magnet that goes here on the side. It's got sticky tape on the back of it. This magnet goes on the other side, and it's got sticky tape on the back of it. And then the coil goes in between. Very interesting, right? Definitely a lot different than your conventional tele pickup that just has 1 coil around the 6 pole magnets, or the 6 Alnico rods, right? So let's talk about what the supposed benefits and differences of this pickup are, now that we know what we're looking at, now that we see the physical construction of it. All right, so we got to figure out how this thing works, what the perceived differences are, and what the perceived benefits of having this goofy setup. So let's break it down. First of all, we're going to talk about a conventional Telecaster pickup. So, just a normal Telecaster pickup like what we make here. And we're going to go do this old school / new school whiteboard. So we've got our top flat work, we've got our bottom flat work, and to be fair for this situation, we've got this bottom plate that goes on the bottom, and we've got our magnet that comes up through the top. And on my pickups, we've got a south and a north at the bottom. And because we have a metal plate on the bottom, that magnetic field looks something like this. Kind of fatter at the bottom. It actually probably comes down a little bit below the plate, gets a little bit wider, and goes a little bit narrower at the top. And then, if we erase the S here, then our string will ride somewhere right in here, and then our coil will be somewhere right in here. Here, let's get a little funky. So here is our coil, lives right in here. Okay, and so now we've got this pickup with the base plate on the bottom, and we've got the string going through the magnetic field on the top. Now the way the lace sensor works is totally different. What we've got there is we've got this horseshoe of metal. Okay, it's a horseshoe metal, and it's got this little pin that comes down that fastens it to this metal base plate on the bottom. Okay, and then what we've got is we've got a chunk of magnet. It's actually 3 pieces of this magnet. So 3 pieces of magnet here. And then there is a piece of magnet here on the side. And then there is a piece of magnet here on the side. Now we're obviously looking at the pickup from the end this way, right? And then the coil lives right in here. So just for consistency's sake, here's the coil in the middle. Now, one of the other components that we did not talk about before, but it's part of it, is that metal thing on the top. And they call that their comb technology. You see how it has like teeth on the side of it? So that sits now on top of this comb technology, whatever they want to call it, with teeth sticking off the side of it, sits on top of there. So this is a very interesting thing, because what happens now is instead of having the magnetic field like on the conventional one, sort of like a fat triangle with the string on the top, what they're doing here is they're shaping the magnetic field differently. So here, let's make the magnetic field look. So all this steel on the outside is keeping it in. And so the magnetic field has some sort of a shape almost like this coming in from the outside instead of around the outside, like a normal single coil. The perceived difference to this would be that since the magnetic field is further enveloping and staying inside that metal cage or that metal container, and that magnetic field is within there because of those 2 magnets on the sides and then the ones on the bottom, and then this comb technology right here on the top, it's keeping all the magnetic field tighter into the coil. It does 2 things according to what they market it as. One, it keeps it quieter because it keeps RF, radio frequency or electromagnetic interference from lights and from other things away from the pickup, because the magnetic field is so compressed into that space. So supposedly it keeps it a lot quieter, which if you play one of these things, you'll probably notice they are quieter than a normal single coil. But it is just a normal single coil. There's only 1 coil in there. The other thing they say that it does is that it keeps less magnetic pull on the string. This is a weird one because these magnets are really weak. normal pickups, and we could do a whole video about this. There's a whole bunch of science and math that goes into it. I actually did a video like, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years ago about magnetic pull on strings. And if you adjust a regular magnet correctly, there will be no magnetic pull on the strings. That is a myth. But what they're saying is that you can get the pickup closer to the strings with this setup and have no magnetic pull. That being said, the magnets are so weak that you almost kind of have to. It's very interesting. These magnets are they're just weak. The other thing that's really interesting about this is that this coil is super, super small. And what they're doing is, even though the physical size of the coil is so small, they're basically, I think, getting their inductance from tons of magnet, which gives the pickup a particular sound. In my opinion, I don't think the clarity is there on top. I think they do sound compressed. It has its own sound. If you like the sound, then great. But if not, you can kind of understand why. They're just completely different. The shape of the magnetic field is different. The shape of the coil is different. And for these to sound exactly like some other kind of pickup, they're just not going to, because the physical dimensions are so different. Really interesting stuff. Really interesting technology, a totally different way to do it. And it just goes to show you that there are different ways to do it. In a video coming up real soon, thanks to everybody over there on patreon.com/DylanTalksTone, we bought a set of Fishman modern humbuckers. So we're not going to cut these up, but we are going to talk about how they work. We're going to put them into a Schecter C1 that I have here, and we're going to listen to them. And we're also going to get some EMGs too. So alternative pickup designs and, engineering is actually really cool. Is it going to give you the exact same traditional sound as other stuff? No, but you know what? Maybe that's not exactly the goal. Really super cool stuff. Thanks for hanging out. This is how lace sensors work. This is what's inside them. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Put it in the comments below what you think of them. Have you used them before? Have you used lace sensors before? I have. I had them in a Strat for a long time. In fact, they were my favorite pickups until I started making my own. So just kind of thinking about different ways to do stuff. It's really, really cool. If you have any questions about this or anything else about pickup stuff or anything, comparisons like this, put it in the comments below, and we will try to get to it. Also, every Thursday, we move the time to 5 p.m. for our Q&A. And I don't know if you noticed, but last Thursday we did something a little different with that. So if you missed that, make sure you go back and watch it. And make sure you check out this Thursday at 5 p.m. You can go over to patreon.com/DylanTalksTone and ask questions over there if you can't make it, and I'll make sure that they get featured. Other than that, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.